My name is Leandra Tranquil, and I have had the pleasure of tutoring students at Wilson Middle School this semester. I'm going to share with you how this experience has impacted my ability to teach literacy. Figuring out what text to read with my students was one of my biggest challenges this year. I started off by printing off 5th grade reading level passages that were nonfiction. However, I would learn soon that I would have to dig a little harder to find material that would keep my students interested. I was placed with 3 boys. By the end of my experience, I learned so much about them. I even got to start working with a 4th boy by the end because that's what Miss Lavender thought was best for his reading. I did realize that at first, the things I was bringing in was boring my kids, so I began to have them rank articles 1 through 10 and then have them pick a subject for each week. Like I said, I learned that I had to find texts that focused on topics my students genuinely enjoyed, or they wouldn't listen. Specifically, my student Joseph taught me this lesson my first week of tutoring. All he wanted to talk about was dogs and football, but he never wanted to read. I had to figure out what kind of material would interest Joseph while helping him to become a better reader. After just 2 visits, I realized that Joseph and the other boys loved scholastic news articles. We read these often, and I immediately saw a change in attitude from Joseph. Once I figured out what kinds of things interested the boys, we began to do more interactive activities. The first of these activities was rereading the article and highlighting words that they didn't know the meaning of, or words that they could not pronounce. We would then discuss each word to make sure everyone could learn it. I quickly realized that verbal skills, such as pausing at commas, and voice inflections that are influenced by punctuation, were very important in regard to literacy. So I had them read to one another in an interviewer-interviewee format. They really enjoyed this. Early on in the semester, I began to incorporate writing strategies into my visits. Here is one that we did about baseball, where I asked them to write down vocab words that relate to baseball before we even read the article. Joseph wrote the least amount of words, but I knew he was still trying his best. I knew that I had to find writing activities that the boys truly wanted to participate in order to get the best results of their literacy skills. I realized that Sydney's students really loved writing haikus, so we started to write some, and they absolutely loved it. Joseph even asked if we could start to write more. Another strategy I used to incorporate reading and writing was having the boys write 3 to 5 sentence stories, including 1 or 2 main vocab words that I would give them. They had a lot of fun with this because they were able to be creative and share their stories with each other. I quickly saw a change in Joseph's ability to think of main ideas. Look how much he was able to put into this tree diagram when I asked him to put big ideas into the branches. I would never have expected him to write this much vocabulary at the start of the year. I think he really liked having a visual like the tree in front of him. The day we used the tree diagram was one of the first times I truly noticed a change in Joseph's literacy growth. He was writing words that he had just learned, he was rereading to find major concepts, and he was asking me about pronunciation of words. I finally believed that all of these activities were paying off. One of the most important things I learned this year was that just popcorn reading was not going to grow my students. These boys helped me realize just how important it is to incorporate enjoyable activities as well as use interesting and relevant topics to read about. I experienced the importance of interactive activities as well as the importance of having conversations about words that the students don't know. I now feel more confident that I will be able to give ideas and advice to my future fellow co-workers about how to help students work on their reading and writing skills. I am so thankful to have been given this opportunity, and I know that it will play a part in how I go about literacy teaching for the rest of my teaching career. The long car rides there were actually pretty fun, too. I was paired with some awesome classmates. Thanks so much for listening.
Created using Powtoon.